fortunate enough that we are going to be launching our Physician Speakers Bureau in cooperation with the county, with the Live Well San Diego messaging. And I turned to longtime colleague Orit. I actually got trained by Orit for the same training that you're going to do, and I was really impressed. When I was with the Alzheimer's Association, we hired Orit to do this training for the physicians and other leaders who were going to be making presentations on Alzheimer's. Orit has a long experience. She started at the age of 9 working with Dale Carnegie with her dad. Oh. And she's been a public speaker and trainer in general for many, many years. Great program for you.
So I'm going to start off this evening just throwing you in the deep end. And you've got an agenda in front of you. I presume you might have looked at it. And you can just put everything away for right now. I'm going to start off by sharing a story with you. It was the summer of 1997, and I was a rookie trainer for this big seminar company. And I was booked to go do a training for Schlage, you know, the key company in the city of South San Francisco. And it was my first time ever doing this particular program. It was called Assertive Communication Skills for Managers and Supervisors. And I was a little bit nervous because I'd never done it before. And I was required to go talk to the HR person first before I did the training that day, all in one day. So I went up to her office. Her name was Olga. I still remember. And yeah, that's a good sign.
Of course.
But Olga seemed very nice at first. And we started chatting and we had, you know, everything seemed fine. Then I got started with the training. Everything was going well. And then we got to the section on how to give feedback effectively. And all of a sudden, this nice, docile Olga turned into a bit of a monster. And she started arguing with me and fighting with me, and I realized that she really didn't like me, and she had a vested interest in me failing. So it was all I could do to hold back the tears. I called a break, and I spoke to the head honcho, and we had a little discussion. And the rest, I don't really remember what happened after that. I got through the day. What I got from this experience is that sometimes people aren't there to support you. And they may be competitive or jealous, or I think she was angry she didn't get to do the training. And still, we need to learn how to work through that and not take it personally. So that was a good experience for me. So that is an example of a story where my speaking training didn't go so well. And that's what I'm going to have you talk about this evening as part of a practical exercise that is part of the process that I'm going to use this evening. I've done this exercise for nearly 20 years with people all over the world. And the exercise in itself is a learning experience. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is think of a time when you had to give a presentation, from when you were a child till yesterday even. Any time in your life where you had to give a presentation where it didn't go so well. Okay, so I want you to all think about it. Has everybody got something in mind where you walked away feeling that didn't go so well? Well, I didn't like that experience. All right, so what I'm going to have you do is you're going to go and practice that. Before I have you come to the front, you're going to practice that twice before you get up here. I'm going to have you practice that presentation, and I'm going to give you a little bit of structure. For the first minute, you've got 90 seconds. The first minute, I want you to talk about who, what, where, and when. So paint the picture of when it happened, where was it, like where was mine? Where was my scenario?
At Schlage.
Schlage, South San Francisco. What year was it? 1997. What season was it? I mentioned it. Summer. Okay, so I painted the picture. So I want you to start off, just get right into the picture. Then tell what happened. You got 1 minute to tell what happened. And then I'll say 30, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to say 30 seconds, and then I want you to wrap it up and say what you learned from that experience. So what did I learn from my experience?
That everybody's not going to like you, and it's okay, don't take it personally.
And get over it. Yeah, right? Okay, and move on. Shake it off, as I tell my daughter Audrey. Shake it off, shake it off. Okay, and that's what we have to do. So what I'm going to have you do is, I'm going to have you get up, find a partner. I'm so glad, I think, well, there's 2, 4, 5. Exact stopwatch. Okay, great. Now, we're going to switch. All right? Ready? Go.
Don't worry.
2, 1. Okay, stop. Please thank your partner. And now I'm going to ask you to find another partner. And you're going to do the same thing one more time. And I want you to, you have a feel for the time now. I want you to use up that full 90 seconds and flesh it out a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is the following. You're each going to have a chance. So you all had practice twice, the same presentation. Presumably you've improved a little bit each time. And you're now going to have a chance to give the same exact presentation in front of the group. Same format, 90 seconds. I'm going to go and stand at the back, and I might prompt you or coach you a little bit, so please don't think I'm rude or get offended that I might motion to you to do something. I'm just trying to help you. So we could just go in order like this, or you can decide who wants to go first.
I'll go. Let's just go.
All right, Sherry doesn't want to sit in. Let's, everyone, please give Sherry a big round of applause.
Hey.
Can you survive 90 seconds without that? All right, if you need it, just run and grab it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go. Just stay there. I'm going to go to the back of the room, and I'm going to time you and do the same thing. But I'm going to help you from here. I'm going to send sort of energy your way. All right. So ready? Go.
So I grew up here in San Diego, and I went to a junior high called Roosevelt Junior High, which is right next to the zoo. And this junior high is basically southeast San Diego, in the middle of San Diego. And there were 2 classes where the mentally gifted minors, which I just called kids from better family backgrounds, got thrown into these classes. And we just kind of flipped back and forth, back and forth. And it was a wonderful time because all the people I went to grammar school with and all my best friends, my boyfriend was in the class ahead of me. But I had to give this oral presentation, which I had never given an oral presentation in my entire life. And I was terrified to stand.
What was the topic?
The topic was Renaissance art, something like that. And first of all, I'm not an artiste, nor am I a musician. I'm an athlete and an academic. That's about it. So anyway, I did this whole speech in front of this teacher that hated my guts. Don't ask me why she hated me, but I just knew she hated me. I could feel it. And I got a C, and she was mean to me and said mean
30
things.
seconds.
But what ended up happening at the end of it was I realized that I was with all my best friends. I was with the boy at the time that I was in love with. And everybody was trying to help me and support me and give me the best positive feedback they could. And the most important thing that I could have gotten out of it is just the enjoyment of learning about Renaissance art and walking away because that lady was just really mean.
Okay, give her a round of
Thank
applause.
you.
Wonderful. Now you can grab your tissue, but I want you to grab your tissue, but just stand back up here. We're going to do something. All right. So what I want you to do, and for everybody else, we're going to give each person positive feedback. We're not going to sit here and criticize anyone today. It's not that class, okay? I want you to tell Sherry what she did well, and she did a lot of things well. So, and then if you want to take notes, because all this feedback is what to do to be a good presenter. And she modeled a lot for us today. So let's go. Who would like to go first?
Very personable, like I just felt that it was natural, telling me a story like I'm sitting on the couch with you or something.
Okay, so you're very personable. Good. What else?
So you get great eye contact with the audience.
Great. So eye contact, very important. What else did she do well?
She smiled.
Yeah, and you know what? It seems like a minor thing, but a smile is a very big deal. And if any of you have ever been on the media, by the way, have any of you ever done media work? Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you can attest to that, Francisco, right? That, have you ever seen some anchors, they seem to have a permanent smile on their face, but if you're not smiling, you're looking angry, and that doesn't do anything for ratings, right? So the smile is very, very important and powerful. Great, so you had a very open, pleasant, and smiley face, in a good way. Or only focusing, have you ever seen speakers who just focus on one part of the room and the rest you feel completely shut out? So you had good, you looked everywhere, so you were inviting. Good.
I want to share with you experience I had when I was giving a lecture at Sharp Healthcare Conference, CME Conference, on infectious disease topic on bioterrorism. My intention was I wanted to demonstrate in a real manner or fashion in terms of what kinds of bioterrorism events that we've had in the United States. And so I handed out envelopes that had talcum powder in them that were sealed. I also had blueberry muffins that I put aside that nobody knew what I was going to do with. And then through the course of the lectures, when I got to the particular point where we talked about anthrax and envelopes, and also a incident that happened in the laboratory where a girl was giving salmonella in the blueberry muffins to her boyfriend, and when the trial came up, he realized that every single time that, you know, they had an argument, you know, he got sick, and he kind of put 2 and 2 together. So at the end of the lecture, I said, okay, now for those who have the envelopes, you know, would you open those? And so some people would open them and some wouldn't do it. And I also asked if anybody liked blueberry muffins. So my attempt at a little bit of humor, my attempt also to drive the point home, you know, didn't exactly turn out to be the way I wanted it to do. So what I learned in the process is that I sort of need to modify to some degree, you know, to emphasize some of those points that I wanted to give.
All right. Great. Yes. All right, so stay out there, Bob. What did Bob do well?
He's hysterical.
He's funny. A bit of good humor always goes a long way. Good. What else?
Good eye contact and good body language.
Open, personable. What else?
I think the type of humor is important because it's more of a self-appreciating.
Self-deprecating.
Where he's like, yeah, self-deprecating. Whereas, you know, this is what happened to me. You know, I learned from it, and I think as an audience member, you kind of get pulled into the story because you're an observer watching it or listening to it.
So I just want to make mention of one very important point. You want to find that balance between being self-deprecating and slightly humble, but not saying, well, I'm really nervous and I've never done this before. Because what do we think when people start doing that and pulling themselves down?
It was here in San Diego at UCSD Medical Center at the main hospital down in Hillcrest. And I was either a second or third year resident. I was giving the M&M rounds, morbidity and mortality. I had just been the board resident for 4 to 6 weeks, so I had to present all the adverse events, any deaths, readmissions, transfer to the ICU, medication errors, and such. And I just felt like I was under attack the whole time. Even though my ward attending was there and I had my team of interns and other residents, I felt that the whole responsibility of every mistake was on me, and I felt just that I was receiving all this criticism. And I felt like it was like 20 snipers shooting at me all at once. And I couldn't hide, and I just had to endure it. So,
30 seconds.
I don't know what I learned from that experience other than that there is some value in surviving a bad experience.
Yeah.
If I had to do it again, I would be prepared to have a little bit of a tougher armor. And the next time that I'm in the audience at an M&M rounds, that I'll be a little bit more sympathetic to the speaker.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Great job. Sharon Axo. Okay, good. Why? What?
She's warm.
Okay, so there's a warmth about you. Did you know that? Okay, so if you want to write down notes, what I do is usually I get people to write down notes and give you a little love letter at the end. But anyway, I forgot to do that. But so you come across as very warm, very humble, actually. Yeah. What else did she do? She did quite a few things really well.
Just facial expressions mimic what she's talking about. You can tell how she's feeling.
So you could read her emotions on her face. And then what did she do that was excellent? That she said it felt like there were
20. So it's like the
20
exaggeration.
20 snipers, and I thought of the movie American Sniper, but 20 snipers, that's hectic. You know, that's a great visual. So you want to do that kind of thing. Good, well, right? Okay, ready, go.
Well, this is about 3 years ago or so. I had this great conference to go to. All I had to do was go to Huntington Beach at the Hyatt. It's right there on the water, and the waves were crashing outside. And I was just a conference attendee. I helped plan some of the meetings. And at the last minute, one of the main presenters didn't show up. And so I was asked to fill in on a talk on hepatitis C. One of the other guy that was talking, sitting next to me, was Bob Gish, who's a world expert on hepatitis C. So I was asked to co-present on hepatitis C to a group of my peers and colleagues from the other community health centers with Bob Gish, the world expert on hepatitis C. And I didn't know what the heck I was talking about, and I didn't even know I was going to do it until about half an hour before the presentation. So I scrambled around, I got on the internet and tried to read as much as I could about current treatment of hepatitis C, and what we were talking about is new drug therapy, which I didn't know diddly about. So it was very tense. I think it was very obvious I didn't know what I was
30
talking
seconds.
about. And so I tried to defer to the world expert a lot. I think what I learned is A, I need to know when to say no. And B, I
Yes.
better study up on hepatitis C.
Great. Excellent.
He was very engaging, and, you know, we could all relate to his dilemma, and just feel for him the whole time.
Yeah, my heart was just breaking for you. Great. What else?
You could smile for him.
Yes, so you have a wonderful openness and genuine quality about you.
He came the closest to
Oh, and he actually came
Yeah.
right up to us.
Like the
Yeah.
rest of us were like, we'll stay back here.
Yes, good. What else did we do well?
Painted a nice picture with the waves and the, you know, and everything was beautiful and then it came crashing.
Yes, yes. Wonderful storyteller you are. The story it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then at the end, what was that advice? He gave a very profound piece of advice. The first thing he said is we
Say
need
no.
to learn when to say no. Okay? We don't need to say yes and get up there and, you know, there's just no way you can pull this off. Spare yourself and them the situation. Wonderful job. Thank you. Okay. On paper, what comes up. So let's take a moment and go around the room. Tom, have you got any takeaways here?
No.
All right.
I still go back with one of my favorite ones is we can always learn something.
Good.
And second one I have is it's not difficult to learn good speaking traits with practice. Focus on practice.
Okay.
And the third one is I still like the use of stories and be engaging and personal with the audience.
Wonderful. Thank you. 15 to 20 of actual presentation and then 10 minutes for Q&A.
What's the venue that we're going to be?
Is making sure you engage or bond with the, or relate to the audience. Second one I still come back to is making sure that you hit on what's in it for me from the audience perspective. And number three is making sure that you come back and you have that conclusion and tie it all up really nice for the audience and give them kind of the three take-home points that you want them to walk out of it with.
Wonderful. Great.
Start off with a joke. I had PowerPoint simplicity because I'm bad about throwing tons of stuff in my
Good. So that was a huge eye-opener for you,
Yeah,
Samantha.
yeah.
Wonderful. I would say 20 years ago, the stats were it takes most people about 90 seconds, so a minute and a half to decide. But Sherry takes about 1 second, she said. Yeah, I know. But you're pretty quick to make your decision. So, and first impressions are lasting. So the way we open, and I'm going to cover this after the break, and I'm going to talk about the rest of the evening and the structure. We'll have a break and then get into some kind of structure. You gotta nail the opener. So, and then the audience will be very forgiving if you mess up. But if you blow the opener and the rest is great, too bad. The content doesn't happen. They don't connect with you. You're done. So just remember that. If that's all you take away from tonight. Just remember that opener. Okay. So what's this ad? What's it on? Volvo, right? Okay. Do you all remember Volvos that used to look like this? Okay, some of you might have had one or parents had one. What's Volvo's selling point? Safety, right? So who drives Volvos?
Moms.
Moms or dads, parents who are concerned about the safety of their children. And you know, if you drive a Volvo in society, you're looked at kind of like a good person, right? Because you're thinking about your children. All right, so look how much writing there is though, and this is the old days of advertising. Now, look at Volvo's ad now. What's going on here?
Kind of a busy slide.
What's that picture communicating?
Don't text.
Something's going on the left side, or the right side from us, on there, something bad, and then there's a young infant.
Well, so you want to protect your children and not crash and have a car that's going to withstand certain things, right? That's what it's really about. So for the safety of your children, you want to drive a Volvo. That's much more powerful than the previous picture, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree? Yeah. This is what we call, by the way, selling the negative. Sometimes talking about if you don't make a change, and I'm sure a lot of you can use this very effectively, if you don't make changes today, this is what's going to happen to you. You don't want that to happen to you, do you? And then people go, no, so what can we do, doctor? Right? That's what you want. That can be very powerful.
Change your food. Well, I'm not going to do that.
Well, and then show them a picture.
I know.
You do that, right? Well, this is what's going to happen. Do you want this? That's what I do with my kids all the time, by the way. I often say, yes.
It doesn't work with my patients.
It works with my children. It really does. Anyway.
It wouldn't work with my daughter.
All right, so Nike could use this, okay? But that doesn't compare to what's Nike's famous slogan.
Just do it.
Just do it. So you want to say the words and show the picture. So have you noticed something about these slides? What are they? What's on the slides?
What's the pictures?
Concept rather than a bunch of words.
Is there a lot of information on these slides?
No.
No. So when PowerPoint came out, I'll never forget, in 1997, and I was a rookie trainer, everybody was jumping on this PowerPoint bandwagon and were spending nights on, how many of you have done this? Just more time on perfecting your slides and the stress, and still your audience would fall asleep, right? So the new wisdom is, forget that, that doesn't work. What you want is to show the picture
Snapchat.
and say the words. Yeah, similar principle. So they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So also, you want to show the pictures, you want to talk about the feeling that you had earlier on tonight, keep that in mind. This is for you, Bob. What's this slide about? Your point earlier on. Your presentation needs to focus on
Content, or the audience.
the audience.
Yeah.
So this is an audience-centered principle. So know your audience. And you've also got to keep this acronym in mind. What does WIFM stand for?
What's in it for me?
Okay, what's in it for me? So your audience is always thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Why should I listen? So let's talk in general. What do most people in life, so before you go out and give your presentations in the community, what do you think most people in the world today want? What do most of us actually want at the bottom line? Okay, so we might want respect. What else? Even more basic. Happy. Okay. Yeah, food. Once we've had, housing and shelter. What kind of?
I would think it'd be a sense of connection or a friendship or a
Relationships, love.
Yeah.
Sure, that's missing in a lot of people's lives. But what else? Come on, let's be honest.
You're not going to say money, are you? That's what he said.
Yes. If you ask most people, the average, I'm not talking
The
about
average American.
your average Americans. Your average Americans, and I have to tell you, I've done a lot of work training average middle class America and middle managers. I really know my audience. And they're not you. So you need to understand that. Middle America is not you guys. What they want is, they want more money. What else?
We do too.
Okay, and some of you as well. All right, Sherry wants more money. Okay. And
I
you
want
do
more
too.
money too.
Okay. Hey, there's actually a lot of studies though. There's a certain cap on how much happiness we'll get, in relation to, And they said it was about $40,000. And then, the proportion gets all different. So most people want more money. What else do they want?
Status?
Okay, it's recognition. Yeah. What else? What are most people in the working world today strapped on? Time. Time. Right? It's like they're living the rat race, talking about that freeway today. That's what I think of every time I see people going on the 805 South every Thursday at 4 o'clock. And I think, poor people, that they have to be on that freeway at that time, and that's their life every day, right? And they don't have that time with, who do they want more time with? Their people they love, not necessarily their colleagues, right? That's right. You might think they love you, but they don't necessarily. All right. Have you ever noticed sometimes how people get so much more energy the moment they walk out the door? Have you ever noticed that? Suddenly they're this person with energy, and when they're at work, they have no energy. All right. So they want more time, more money, better connection, relationships, all of those things. So keep that in mind. Sorry. One other very important thing, and you're in this industry, they want good health. Seeing you every 2 minutes, right? So there's one of my favorite icons. Okay, what this slide is about what we really remember. What do most people, how much of a presentation do most people remember after 1 week?
Not much.
10%. All right, so don't get too heavy on the content, because most people can't remember it anyway. After 1 week, but if you're lucky, they'll remember 10%, right? Did you notice what kind of feedback we were involved in here today?
Positive.
It was only
Constructive.
positive. Why do you think I do that?
So we don't cry.
So you won't lose this?
Go out and speak.
Right, so what part of the intent of this evening is to motivate you to get out there and have a good time and go change the world. If we sat here deconstructing you to pieces tonight, okay, would we achieve the objective? Okay, so the goal tonight is to get everyone motivated, share some tips and techniques. Now, if you're serious about improving, there's going to be video, which you can look at, and, you know, there's nothing like looking at yourself on video, right? What's one thing you don't want to do?
Tell a bad joke.
Yeah, she's exactly right. How many of you have ever gone to an event or a wedding or something where you see a person, the best man, it's usually the best man, that stands up and starts with the jokes about the groom and the bride, and you just, what are you thinking to yourself?
Oh no.
Oh, no. Okay. So, it's bad enough in that setting. Why would I tell you not to start off with a joke?
Easy way to lose the crowd.
The white flop.
So, based on what Kevin said earlier, what did you realize? That it was what? You had 2 takeaways from that last session.
Oh, it's hard to do improv as a comedian.
It's really hard to be a good stand-up comic. So unless you're Robin Williams is no longer around, unfortunately, or Eddie Murphy, or Chris Rock, or, you know, Billy Crystal, or Whoopi Goldberg, chances are you're not going to be very good. You're not as funny as you think. It's really hard to be very good. So the chances are that it's going to be a flop. And then how many seconds do we have to make it or break it, did we say?
About 5.
Yeah, it depends who's evaluating, right? So why would you take the risk? So the chances are it's not going to work. So why don't you do something that's going to work and set yourself up for success? Okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can't be kind of funny once you're settled in your presentation and you can they feel comfortable with you and you can kind of make some, you know, funny quips and have a bit of humor. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to start off with a joke and risk it flopping. Okay? Good. So what I'd like you to do is I want you all to decide what kind of opener you're going to use for this presentation. Is it going to be a story, a stat, a news, this, no jokes? Okay, and quickly write a few notes as to what it's going to be. So just on a blank piece of paper, just write down what are you going to do, how are you going to open, and again, you have 60 to 90 seconds to really nail this. So you have 60 to 90 seconds to open for this presentation, and that's not, hi, my name is, you know, Jane Smith, and I, da-da-da-da. That's not how you're going to open. You're going to get straight into your opener. Okay?
We're up in the thirds. So this is the first third over here. This is the second third. And last but not least, you guys are the third. So I want the first group to stand up for me.
Okay, this is different. Very creative.
So you guys represent, or we represent, 33% of Americans are actually normal weight. You guys can sit down. All right, now over here, I have you guys stand. Over here, we represent the second third of Americans that are overweight but not obese. But the problem is, no, don't sit down yet.
We're gonna.
have you guys stand up. You represent the third of America that's obese. The third over here is well on their way to being over here. 80% of our healthcare costs are going to be spent over here. And I'm going to talk to you tonight how we can change that.
Oh,
Good.
wow. Did you come up, have you ever done that before?
Not that one. No.
That's amazing. That is so creative. All right. Can they copy it?
Sure.
Okay. I would copy that. Right? So that's why
When you make people move and listen to
Yeah, use that. That's so great. Wonderful.
So that third's gonna like it.
Let's hope people don't take
Yeah, that's what I was
That
kind of
third's
wrestling
gonna
with
hate
that.
because
Yeah.
you imply that they're
Some
overweight.
people, yeah, because some people could take that the wrong way, but.
So it's a story, question, shock tactics. What else?
Present a puzzle for them to figure out. So in medicine, we do that a lot. Here's a case of blah, 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 this case, here are the symptoms, here's the lab test. And then everybody's thinking, what could
Okay.
this be, what could this be, and then you kind of go through the presentation.
But how long does it take to set that up? The puzzle.
Less than a minute.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you give them a puzzle, a case
Yeah, yeah.
that's confusing or they have to think about.
Right.
And then how do you intro into the presentation?
Well, I mean, the formula is sort of, here's the initial diagnosis, you do some more testing. and
So that
then
leads
come
you
to it.
into the reason to listen to the presentation.
Right,
Okay. So you introduce a case.
right.
So it's kind of like, so yeah, for your field that would be great. You could say I had an actual case in, wherever it is, and this is the story, and this is what happened, and this is why you need to pay attention today, kind of thing. Okay, good. Good, so case study. So story/case study. Good, what else?
Can you make somebody an offer? Like, how would you like to, it's sort of a sales pitch approach, but.
Oh, I've never heard of that one, but it
How
sounds
would you like to
interesting.
live 10 years longer?
Okay, so that's a question. So it's a question
Oh,
slash
yeah.
offer. But it's a question slash
Well, I'm going
offer.
to tell you how you can live 10 years longer.
How many of you would like to know how you could, and you know what, this is what you do, you raise your hand. How many of you, like you do, how many of you would like to know how you could actually live 10 years longer and have a healthier, happier life? There's one that, I had lots of slides on this in my presentation, where there were graphs and there were
The scary ones?
statistics,
Oh.
using shock tactics with numbers. So and you can roll it into a question. You could say, do you know that the average child with diabetes takes 30,000 shots in their life? Do you see? So you could start, or how many of you know how many shots it takes, or how many shots a kid, before we begin our presentation, and that whole day before.
I'm good enough?
I'm good enough.
Gosh darn it, people will.
Gosh darn it. They're gonna, and I swear to you, you've got to be, they're gonna like me. Okay? You don't have to say they're gonna love me, you say they're gonna like me.
Affirmations.
Yes, affirmations. I can do this. I am going to do this.
He's so
I have to
next
do
to
this.
me.
I'm gonna have fun.
I know more than they do.
I know more than I am, but by whatever, I am the bloody expert here. So just what is wrong with me? Why am I so nervous? I can do this. It's gonna go great. I'm gonna have fun. They're gonna learn from me. How about that? You are doing them a service. They are happy to see me. They're going to learn from me. I'm giving them a gift, which you are. Right? This is what we need to be saying to ourselves. And that's the only thing. We have to be positive. All right? And also, never compare yourself to another person. Okay? Because you do not, we live in the most competitive society in the world, the United States. Or one of the most. Maybe some others are more competitive. I don't know. I know in Israel they're very competitive too. But the only thing that matters is that we improve incrementally on the previous job or performance. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. We have our own gifts and our own uniqueness. My daughter said to me, why can't I be, I'm not as skinny as my sister Audrey, and she compares herself to her older sister who's thinner. And I said, you have your own gifts. You have so many gifts that Audrey doesn't have. Should I name them? And I had to. Okay? I said, stop comparing yourself to her, you're not her. Right? So she has things that she struggles with that you don't. And so we must never compare ourselves to other people. It's not about that. It's just about us getting better. That's all that matters. That's the only thing that matters. All right? So I'm so happy to